The depth of an ordinary day. Now, I'm no expert, but I'm sure we can only plan for it. There's never a guarantee, maybe a predictable outcome, but nothing's final until. This is based on the methods of having a bad day at the start of the day. No matter how positive the attitude remains, if it's going to fall apart, do all you can not to pick up the pieces until they physically appear. Too often, we all attempt to walk away from what feels like a bad day, only to get our feet stuck in warm gum on the floor. Now what? It plays with the head while poisoning the heart. You'd think we'd all get used to feeling okay about a bad day. That's not true. Mainly because of how we've planned out the day with digital tools that never come with a guarantee. The depth of the ordinary day has changed. What are you going to do? Run away? Hey, it's Arrow. This is The Daily Mess, a chronological walk through an everyday world. I am a daily writer. I am a silent watcher. I'm underneath the brush and I'm watching the world. Because as that student, you learn from the sidelines of life. This is The Daily Mess. How often do you get lost in a thought? You know what that feeling's like, getting lost in a thought. One that you don't write down because that thought is so big and so strong that there's no way that it's going to fade away. But it does. Where do you feel lost the most? In that thought while it was happening? Or during the moments where you're trying to figure out what that thought was? Although I'm a daily writer with several forms of connections, I got to be honest with you, I still get caught up in too much confidence. I struggle with bringing what I thought back. There's a reason why Post-it notes polluted our office cubicles. Sadly, by the time your eyes caught onto that little Post-it note, the future says, I don't know. The moment required is gone. It's already passed. As a writer, I've been known to jump into my journals and quickly write out the thought so that when I return to these pages the next morning, I would have feelings about that thought. Yeah, the feelings are, I was just as lost because I didn't remember why I even came up with that thought. Sure, I'll put myself in a moment to try to write about what I think that thought is about, but you usually don't feel the same. Getting lost in a thought, one thought at a time. True believer in writing things down, and I'm not the only one. A lot of creative people do that. They'll do that with their guitar licks or lyrics. People do speak into their digital phones, and they try to document the moment. But my struggles, like I was admitting, are based on one thing: getting back into the same emotion of that moment. How do you go there? And is that a form of living in the past? Or is it what I call Dear Future Reader? It's not meant for the moment where I'm thinking it, but rather where I pick up the thought and continue walking with it as a completely different personality. It plays with your mind, and it also kind of tortures your heart, because when a thought is given birth, you're going, oh my God, I've got to write that down. But when you return, you didn't write it down in the way that you felt it. Writing does that, the interpretation. I've been in more trouble with HR people because the way that I write on paper comes across as inspirational, and some people call it spiritual, and they feel like that I'm pressing God upon their path, when that's not true at all. All I wanted to do was motivate somebody to have a better day. Thoughts, things you plant on pages or your digital device. How do you handle the emotional connection that isn't there when you return? I'm Arrow, and that's The Daily Mess.